Hello and welcome back here at feelingTERrific. Today is a very special day. Not that I'm having the VP and General Manager of Service now from the Central Europe region here with me, but also it's the first time that we have this or one conversation in person. So thank you Markus for being here with me today.
Thanks for having me. It's exciting.
Yeah, exciting. You don't know the questions yet, so now you're excited. Let's see how.
So I'm in the hot chair now. Ask me anything.
No, I'm wondering. I once had a conversation already with someone who was leaving a company after 20 years. Yours is a little bit less, nevertheless, really interesting because obviously such a change is always different for every person, right? How was it for you leaving a company, and the company was Salesforce prior to ServiceNow? How was it for you, especially from a mind and mental perspective?
Good question. I think it's very, very easy. For me, it's not. I'm not the company. I'm an individual. I'm Markus, and I have my values. I have my ideas, the way how I work, how I engage with people, and I think that makes it very easy. If you always keep in mind, that it's your decision and your choice, whatever you do, you can be 10, 15, 20 years in one company, and make the company you, or you stay yourself and stay with your values and stay with the way how you work and engage with people. And that's what I always did, it was always very important to me that I can bring my best to work, that I can be myself, that I don't need to be a different person because the company is providing me an image which you want me to be. And so when I joined ServiceNow, this is exactly what I experienced. This is a culture here which is humble, which is open, which is welcoming. So I never had the impression that I need to change myself, and I think it's a little bit when you come as a visitor to a friend's house, you would not go to that house and open the fridge and take the food and sit in front of the TV like you do at your home. First thing you try to be empathic, you listen, you wait until something gets offered, And I think this is my recipe when you try a new company, just be also humble, and appreciate that you're welcomed, and accept whatever is the food there, whatever is coming on the TV channel, and don't try to change everything in the first day. And I think I'm still in that mode after 4 months now being here. Now slowly asking maybe we can change the channel because now we've seen 20 hours of comedy. I would like something different, or maybe now we've eaten steak every day. I would maybe have a vegetarian meal. But I think this is all about. I think this is what makes us stronger and more successful. To have the different worlds. And the way how people and humans interact with each other. And this is exactly my work style, and I hope I can make you excited about different kind of things, and I hope you can inspire me to do different kind of things.
The fact that you're sitting with me here today is one example how you provide energy to me, how to provide a purpose. And for me, for example, it's really important about humble leadership, kind of, and that you take the time out of your day and invest it, kind of. This alone means a lot, so thank you for that. Let's go into that deeper a little bit later on. I'm wondering, so you mentioned it in the beginning that you made sure that you are not the company, you are still Markus, right?
Yeah.
I think, or I assume that for more experienced people in their professional life, it would be easier to make this difference or this journey. And I think for more junior people, more early in career folks, it would be harder. How did you make sure to stay Markus and not become Salesforce, for example?
I think this is an evolution. Young people are typically not that self-confident because they're still new on their journey. It's probably with the kids. When you're invited as a kid to the home of another kid, you know, you immediately start playing with all the toys, you know, because this is what you do, you know, and then the other kid tells you, oh no, that's my toy, I don't want to play this toy, you know, and then this is kind of arguments, and this is how humans learn, you know. And I think this is how you learn in your professional career, you know, you come to a new place, to a new situation, you know, and then you have your idea, and then you probably realize that this is not resonating well with your colleagues or with your team, and then over time, if you're empathic enough, you know, then you would realize it's maybe required that you change the way how you engage, you know. And I think this is a lot of just experience, you know. But what helped me all the time is to have a mentor, you know, to have someone external, which is not in the same company, not in the same environment, maybe not even in the same industry, you know, and asking him or her, you know, what do you think? Going, this is the situation I had at work, you know, how would you react, you know, and in many cases it was my dad. I mean, he's 80 years old today, and I love him. Like whenever I made a critical decision in my business life, I called him, and he was managing a factory, a company in the food production industry for animal food, you know, so complete different kind of business, you know. But I always asked him, Dad, what would you do? What is your opinion? You know? And I didn't always do what he said. I mean, this is what the kids don't always listen to their parents, you know. But I always appreciated the way that he was always not biased, you know. I mean, he just said what he thinks, you know, and that helped me a lot, you know, to get a second opinion, you know. And if I was still not sure what to do, I could still ask someone in for my friends, or even at work, you know, if it's really so specific that you would need some advice from work, you know. But asking someone, asking for help, asking for advice, you know, I think that's a lot of people have are shy to ask for help and ask for advice, because it's maybe in the German culture or in many cultures not a sign of strength to ask for help, you know, and I think this is the biggest mistake you can do.
Yeah. Did you have through your whole experience, did you have a situation where it made kind of click? I mean, for example, you mentioned that it's also a mind thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering, were you at a mind state once where you were shy, for example, and how did you overcome this barrier?
I think I was always shy when I was young, you know. I mean, this is like when I see, like I've been in sales for 25 years, you know, and I often see sales teams, and that includes myself, you know. When I was early in my sales career, you see, oh, there's an amazing opportunity. The customer tells you, hey, I want to this and that, and you see already all the big dollars in front of you. But to ask this question, do you have the money? Do you have that amount of money? You know, there might be a complete different kind of view. Like the customer tells you, oh, I want this and that, and he maybe has 100,000 in mind, and you hear all this amazing story and you have 1 million in mind, you know. But if you don't ask the question, then it's very difficult, you know. And when I was very young, it is very often when it comes to the ladies, you know, like I was very interested in a girl, you know, but I never asked her, do you want to go out with me? Because I was so afraid that she would say no. And I think this is what happens later in the sales career, that you're so afraid to ask the question because you're even more afraid that the answer might not what you want to hear. But this is not helping anyone, you know. In the end, that after some time I realized if I never ask the question, then it's very difficult to get what you want, you know. So you need to overcome this kind of shyness, you know. And I think this happens in many situations, you know, that a lot of the time you're just shy because you are afraid of the situation might go into a direction which you don't feel comfortable with. Yeah, I can totally relate to this. Being afraid or the possibility of being afraid. And what I try for me at the moment, at least, is when I have a difficult conversation coming up or situation, I try, if possible, to ask the question up front in the beginning, so the whole conversation can have a different level. So it's interesting. Wondering, you scratched it already a little bit in the beginning, so that you are still enjoying your time at ServiceNow, which is great. I'm just starting. It's getting more. Also different. I'm even enjoying more every day. You know, I mean, it's really exciting. Yeah. Why ServiceNow? There's multiple reasons. I mean, ServiceNow has been a market leader in a very particular area, which is IT service management, and the company evolved over time in becoming a platform which is a key foundation for the way how we do business in any company, in any situation, in any organization, and after being 12 years at also a very fast growing company, I never thought that I would have the opportunity to take advantage of all the things I learned over this time, there's not so many companies who grow significantly in a shorter period of time to become a market leader or an industry leader in a specific space. And I think ServiceNow is exactly the point, which over the next 5, 6, 7 years, this will be the defining software company of the 21st century, and I'm 100% convinced that this will be one of the top 3 tech companies on this planet, and now to have this opportunity to take all these learnings and to help and to give my best to make this journey even more successful, this is mind-blowing. This is really mind-blowing.
So 2 things. We can make a check when I say your commitment is long-term.
Yes.
And the second thing, so it isn't too bold to say then, when ServiceNow says the world works with ServiceNow?
Yeah, no, it's totally true, and it's just starting. It's just starting.
One question I have also here on my paper, right, is I wanted to ask almost the end of your probation period, but you answered already, so that you are still smiling. However, you scratched it also already a little bit, but what would be your resume in few words when you would need to reflect on your time so far?
I think it's amazing culture. That's absolutely second to none. The people I see here, the talent, the way how people work with each other, the openness, the transparency, the trust is really, for a company of that size, in an industry which is super fast growing, which might become political. I have not seen any of this in the 5 months I'm here now, and also the speed and the commitment of doing things, I had many situations, where I was really surprised how an American software company is committed to the German or the Central European region by making commitments to changes in products, investments, talent, our new office. There's so much going on, the company is investing so much, there's so much trust and belief in our region from our HQ. This is absolutely unbelievable, most companies have been working a very margin and profit driven, and we are super successful. We are a high margin business. We operate at the rule of 55, we have more than almost 30% growth and more than 25% margin in our business, and we're still doing all those investments. This is really super impressive to me, and that makes me very optimistic about the future.
Yeah, so the thing is, through the camera, it's probably not, you are probably not able to feel the passion I have here in the room, but I can feel it, and grateful for that. Maybe let us have a different look now. Maybe let's start kind of basic regarding leadership, right?
Yeah.
So leadership can have different perspectives, definitions, aspects, however you want to call it, right? I'm wondering, what does it mean to you? What does leadership mean to you?
It's number one, accountability. Whatever you lead, whatever, if it's sales or customer outcomes or our partner ecosystem or our human resources or our talent, our university programs, you need to be accountable for whatever you do. We are in a commercial business. We are not a non-profit organization. And everybody in a company, in our company, in most other companies, and even in a non-profit company, they have a goal, they have a purpose, there's something they want to achieve. And you need to be accountable for that. It's not helping to blame other people, like the weather was bad, I didn't have enough headcount, I wasn't prepared enough. You are accountable. It doesn't matter if you're an individual contributor or leading a 1,000 people organization. Be always aware you are accountable, and make sure every decision you make is working in the direction of your purpose and what you want to achieve at the end of the day.
It's interesting, so correct me if I'm wrong, but when I think about what you just said, leadership is going abroad from the kind of traditional just management thinking, right? It's much more combined with accountability and be your own CEO kind of in the role you have. Is it like that?
I mean, it's not the one or the other, you know. I mean, being accountable means you need to make a lot of decisions to make sure you achieve your goals. Yeah, and leading a 1,000 people company requires that 1,000 people are accountable themselves to help you to reach the ultimate goal, to become the defining software company of the 21st century. And I think this is what I see my role, you know, to make sure everybody is enabled to be accountable, you know, and has the feeling that he or she can be accountable. Because if you, and this is a cultural thing, you know, I mean, it starts with being transparent and straight. I mean, we had this discussion about the shyness and so on, you know, a lot of managers I've seen, they're very shy of communicating the good or the bad or the ugly. You know, it's like, oh, it would be nice if you would do more of this, and it would be cool if you do less of this, but it's not helping, you know. Most people I've been working with, they really appreciate if you can give them very transparent and clear feedback. And feedback is a gift. I'm not telling someone he's an idiot. I'm saying there's something we need to get better together. And I'm not expecting you to know everything. I don't know everything. And I don't like people who tell me all the time, oh, you're so amazing with this and that and that. It's not making me better. I want people to tell me, hey, if you would do this differently, I think that would have a significant impact to our performance. And this is not negative, this is very positive. But this is a culture, you know, I mean, you need to make sure people understand giving this kind of feedback is super valuable, and it helps everyone to become more successful. And not like being like soft and giving like kind of would be good and blah blah blah, you know.
Yeah. Would you agree, especially what are your thoughts about the following equation? When I say feedback or constructive feedback equals empowerment equals success?
I think it's right. I mean, overall feedback is a gift. And it equals empowerment, yes. I mean, if you don't get feedback, it's very difficult to change things, you know. I mean, if people work without feedback, then they just keep going.
Do you have an example of a feedback that really had a huge impact on you?
Yes, when I was, it's a bit personal, you know, but I mean, when I was a younger kind of, just started my sales management career, you know, and I was an AE, like for most of, like the beginning of my career, I was an individual contributor, I was selling, I loved to sell. And I was always with the team, I was young, you know, and we celebrated the deals, we went out, we partied, you know, and then at some point I became a first line manager, you know, but I was still in my mind an AE, you know, so I wanted to be with the customers, I wanted to be part of the team, wanted to celebrate, you know, and I was out with the team celebrating, you know, and then at some point our HR manager came to me and said, like, if you want to become the country leader of this organization, do you want that people see you as the one dancing on the tables with all your colleagues? Is this the image you want to have? And then I started to realize, yes, I mean, it's still important to have fun and to celebrate, but you also need to make sure that you create an image of yourself in the organization which you want to be in 5 or 10 years. Maybe now it's still okay, but if you want to become a sales first-line manager for the rest of your life, then you can be a party guy. Yeah? But if you want to be seen as a serious leader, then you should probably think about what is the image you create with this behavior.
Yeah, and it's also about what people say when you're not in the room, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And in the beginning it was like, I felt like, oh, why is my HR manager telling me this? It's like, am I now on kind of a mission down or like? No, but it was for me, after thinking through, it was valuable feedback, you know. And it doesn't mean I don't want to party, yeah. But it's the way how you do it, and maybe you do it a bit not as aggressive as you're 25 years old when you're 50, you know. It doesn't like makes that kind of have a kind of a common sense, you know.
So self-reflecting, having the the skill or being able to self-reflect is also a very important part of personal growth journey.
Yeah, self-reflect and accept feedback and see it as a positive thing to grow your personal skills.
Yeah. I'd like to come back to the word or topic culture.
Mm-hmm.
You scratched it already a little bit, but what defines a great culture?
I think this is hard to have a strict definition. In the end of the day, it's like multiple areas. I mean, it's location. A culture in Germany is probably a different culture than a culture in the US or in Asia Pacific. I mean, there's like cultural things which are just part of where you live and where you grow up. And then on top of that, you take this into consideration, how you want to grow your business and how you want to be seen as a leader, how you want the team to work together, how you want to work with your customers, with your partners, with your employees, with your ecosystems. I mean, there's a lot of things influencing that, and it's not something I think one person can define, I mean, it would be stupid of me to think I now come with my experience and try to bring a new culture into service. Now every company, every human being has a culture, and the thing is to take advantage of what's there, and then inspire people and think maybe we can make some changes in some areas which make the culture even more exciting for everyone living in that culture.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. Your answer is very interesting because it showcases or underlines that, for example, when somebody is successful as a leader, right? It's not just about the ability to lead, to inspire, to empower, etc. But it's much more to have the ability to consider a lot of different nuances.
Yeah.
To be able to have ideally everything on somebody's radar.
Yeah. No, in the end, it's not me who is successful. I'm just one little piece in a bigger ecosystem, If the company and everybody in the company is not successful, then the company is not successful. Maybe I'm the face of this organization because I'm now in the hierarchy, the one who is there to make decisions and to sign off travel expenses and quotes and all kind of things, But in the end of the day, I mean, it's not helping if I tell everyone what to do, I mean, my job is really to make sure that we are maintaining a good work ethics, that we have a good understanding of everybody is important in the company, from the workplace service providing us an amazing experience when we look into the fridge and have our coffee and welcome our guests and visitors, to the receptionists, to our PAs, to our sales developers and SCs and customer. I mean, this is all working like a Swiss watch, and if one part is not working, then it has a big impact to everybody else. And this is what people need to understand, and this is my role, If I see people don't appreciating, not respecting, like that this is a team sport, then I need to step in and say, hey, why do you think or why do you believe that your behavior is helping us? And maybe he or she is right, and maybe it's me who is wrong, But in the end of the day, I always need to make sure that we have here an environment where everybody feels welcome, everybody feels safe, can articulate what he or she wants, that we can also make errors and mistakes, but then we also want to talk about it because we don't want everybody else to do the same mistake again, and so I'm more like the observer, and looking into what everybody's doing, and trying to help everybody to be successful. And then I'm successful, then the company is successful, my boss is successful, and this is all about,
Nothing to add. I'm wondering, so I did my due diligence when I heard you would come, right? And what I heard is...
You stalked me.
Due diligence, I would call it due diligence. And the feedback was that you are, besides other things, humble, right? And down to earth. I'm wondering, based on all the success you had, right? How did you make sure, or how difficult was it for you to stay down to earth? I assume it could be quite easy to get overwhelmed in a negative way.
It was very easy because it was never an option not to be humble. I mean, I grew up in a family which, I said, like my grandfather founded this company for animal food. We were selling food to farmers. I mean, you cannot be a successful seller to farmers if you are arrogant and give them the impression that you're more important and richer and more successful than them. I mean, they help us that we are getting food on the table every day, you know. I mean, this is a very elemental part of our life, you know. And from my grandfather to my father to myself, we always had this kind of behavior in our families, you know. And my granddad was probably the most inspiring person in my life, even more inspiring than my dad, you know, because he had the time for me when I was little, you know. My dad was working very hard, you know, so I spent a lot of weekends and then afternoons with my granddad who loved me and I loved him, you know, and he took me on shopping tours and whatever. And I was like, when I was a bit older, I thought like, why am I what I am, you know? And it always came back to what I've seen from my granddad, you know. He came to a grocery store, he was talking to the salesperson there, you know, and he was always nice, making a little joke, you know, and asked, oh, do you have a dog or a cat? Or I have a sample in my car. So he handed over the food sample, you know, and then next time he came, he said, oh, can you give me more of the food, you know? And then he started selling without selling, you know, because just he was nice and engaging with the people. And I think this was a key element why I love sales so much, because it's not about pushing someone to buy something. It's about having this kind of empathic conversation and making sure people like you. And people buy from people, you know, humans buy from humans, you know, and I think this is my secret recipe. This is why I always stayed humble, because everybody can be my customer, you know. I don't know if I meet someone on the street who is the CEO of a big company, you know, and if he or she has the feeling that I'm an idiot, they would probably not buy from me. Yeah. And I don't want to take that risk. So it was never an option to become arrogant or fly up or whatever, you know. So I'm totally happy with how I am, what I am, where I am.
This is good. I think especially nowadays it's quite important that somebody is, like you mentioned, with having inner peace, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'd like to come back to one thing we talked about in the beginning regarding change. One thing I missed to ask is, and I'm really curious, I mean, you had a lot of change over the years, right? How do you deal with change, or how are you approaching change?
I think this is also this change over time, you know. I mean, people hate change. Humans hate change. I mean, especially in our culture here. I mean, usually you're born somewhere and then you die where you were born, you know. It's like if you look into the US, they change jobs, change locations, they move from the East Coast to the West Coast, to the Midwest and up and down, and they always like this, you know. For them it's like super inspiring to have continuous change. In Germany, it's like you're born in the Black Forest, you work for the same company for all your life, and you die in the Black Forest, you know. And I think this is a cultural thing, but it's sometimes difficult, especially when you see the world has changed, you know, the way of innovation has changed, the economies have changed, the powers of markets have changed, and I think change is necessary for the survival of us as humans, for us as companies, as everything, you know. And I think this is something where at some point you need to make a decision for yourself, you know. I mean, I think there's still a lot of opportunities to be in environments where you're not having too much change. The question is this sustainable, and is this going to be like that forever? Or do you accept at some point in time that change is necessary, it's important, it's innovating, and it's helping, and once you found your peace with that, I think it's a different story, you know. Otherwise you can keep complaining, oh, now I worked with this customer for the last 5 years, now I need to give it to someone else, I need to find a new customer. These are the kind of discussions what are happening, especially in sales organizations, no? But on the other hand, like once you have made this change and it might bring a new opportunity and you might have new inspiration or be even more successful, then you always forget that this is only because you made a change, you know. And I think this is something everybody has to decide for him or herself, how ready are they for change. But I think without change it's going to be very difficult in this world to have a sustainable future.
Yeah. Good shout out, yeah. Let's embrace change.
Yeah, it's great.
Perfect. Yeah, we are almost coming to an end. We have something in the series where the previous guests ask a question for the next one. And curious about your thoughts about this question. What advice would you give a person who does a podcast on the show?
What advice would I give a person, like the next person who is doing this interview with you? Have some amazing story in place, which is different to any other story which has been told here before. And it can be a personal story, can be a volunteering story, an educational story. I think it's a lot about business and leadership and change and service now, but maybe it should be something completely different.
Good point. Now the privilege is with you. What question do you want to ask the next person?
So which are the 2 celebrities you want to spend your summer holiday with, and why?
We will take this question to the next one. But thank you, Markus. It was a real pleasure. I took a lot with me, and I hope you took also a lot with you. Over to you for the last words.
Well, thanks a lot. I mean, it's super exciting. I mean, it's great to have great ideas and great visions and great kind of feedback. But it's even more important to share this with as many people as possible, you know. And thank you for having this opportunity and giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and my wisdoms and my ideas with this broader community. And I hope I could inspire the one or the other a little bit.
Thank you very much, Markus, and
thank you.
Hope to see you soon.
Absolutely.